So the Las Vegas Raiders obviously fired Luke Getsy yesterday, and today we're getting a ton of updates coming out with how the Las Vegas Raiders look to move forward after essentially firing their offensive coordinator. Now, they also ended up firing the offensive line coach, James Craig, who came over from the 49ers. They also fired their quarterbacks coach. So the Raiders have some changes that are kind of happening at this point, and Antonio Pierce talked about this a little bit. He talked about his thoughts kind of on the situation. He kind of talked about what led to the decision. And we're going to talk about what Antonio Pierce ultimately said, because when I think about what AP has to say, it almost makes me feel like AP understands where he's kind of at with the job. You know, AP's not guaranteed to be here next year. Although there's a lot of reports that have came out that said AP will be here, none of that's actually guaranteed at this point. AP was asked, like, what led to essentially the firing happening, and he basically went to the turnovers. Right? He said the turnovers are unacceptable. The inconsistent offense, right? We had basically in most games over the past couple of weeks started off strong, right? We score a touchdown on the first drive of the game, and then it just kind of falls apart from that point forward. When you look at what the Raiders do from a tendency standpoint, it's all very, very, very predictable. So the Raiders obviously chose to move off of Luke Getsy, and AP said it was 100% his decision. It wasn't Mark Davis. It wasn't the general manager. No one was telling him, hey, make this move. Antonio Pierce said he made the move by himself, which I can respect, right? I can respect Antonio Pierce deciding that it's the time to move off of this guy. Now, the Raiders haven't actually officially picked their next offensive coordinator. Most people believe the Raiders coach, Scott Turner, is going to be the guy that's going to get that job. Scott Turner, to me, obviously just makes the most sense. Turner has obviously already had success calling plays. He's already shown us that he's a guy that can do it and have success. Scott Turner, I would say, is probably a better offensive coordinator than is Luke Getsy, but one of the things we do have to recognize is Scott Turner's not coming in and installing the offense right now, right? Luke Getsy's already done that. And I think that right there was already an issue because of the fact that guys were confused, right? So I think Luke Getsy's already kind of put this base in for the Raiders on the offensive side, and that base is kind of broken. So I'm not sure if Scott Turner can actually come in and actually make a change, right? Like, I don't know if Scott Turner can actually come in and have success with what the Raiders kind of have right now because of the fact that a lot of what's already been installed was not properly done. Now, Scott Turner can still turn it around. In fact, Jonathan Jones, who's an NFL insider for NFL on CBS, said the following on Twitter. He said that following the 3 offensive firings last night, the Raiders are considering bringing on veteran NFL coach Norv Turner in some role with the offense. Sources say Scott Turner, his son, remains the leading candidate to be the offensive coordinator. So I'm not sure how legit this source is. Obviously, Jonathan Jones does a good job, right? He doesn't make things up. And he's saying that the Raiders are considering bringing in Norv Turner. Now, Norv Turner is a former NFL head coach, has had a lot of success. He was with the Chargers for a number of years. And it's interesting because Norv Turner's son, Scott Turner, now is the leading candidate for the Raiders. Could Norv Turner actually come in and help Scott potentially fix things up? I think it's possible, right? But at the same time, we shouldn't go into the rest of the season thinking that, hey, the Raiders are about to make the playoffs. The Raiders are going to be really, really good. Because although I do think that the Raiders will be better on the offensive side, we still have issues. We gave up 41 points on the defensive side literally yesterday to the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a team that had not won at home. It's a team that's consistently struggled. It's a team that was missing probably their second best wide receiver, as well as their starting running back, as well as their starting left tackle, and they still dropped 41 points on us. The Raiders' defense is still, a little inconsistent this year. And obviously injuries is a big part of that. And that doesn't include the offense, right? So there's just so many different things right now. There's so many different variables. Plus, we don't really have a quarterback that we can 100% trust. Antonio Pierce was asked, "Are you gonna go forward with one of the quarterbacks? Have you made that decision?" And AP says he has not made that decision yet. Now, based off of historically speaking, I think the Raiders will end up going to Desmond Ridder. Last year, when the Raiders ultimately fired Josh McDaniels and AP took over, that firing ultimately sparked the Raiders. And what AP did in that moment was he went to the backup quarterback, and in that instance, it was Aiden O'Connell. Now, at this point, it could make sense that they just go forward with Desmond Ridder as their quarterback. Now, I'll be the first to tell you guys, I'm not 100% sold on Desmond Ridder. What I saw from him yesterday, he had that one final drive that he drove downfield and scored a touchdown. Prior to that, it did not look good. There were multiple plays on tape where And maybe it's the fact that he had Thayer Munford at left tackle. We'll talk about him here in a second. It just didn't look good, right? And I'm not saying that Gardner Minshew's a much better quarterback than Desmond Ridder, but if Antonio Pierce wants to keep his job and he wants to win football games, he has to put the best quarterback out there. And I think if you have a competent offensive coordinator, I do think Gardner Minshew is the best quarterback the Raiders have right now that's at least healthy. Aiden O'Connell might actually be a better quarterback, although he hasn't proven that. But I'm still not sold on Desmond Ridder to be able to get us over the top either. And again, I'm not 100% sold on Gardner Minshew either, but I just think when you look at the quarterbacks the Raiders have healthy right now, what makes the most sense at this point? I also think the Raiders got to figure out the little things. Yesterday we had a fumble. I think it was DJ Turner that Gardner Minshew was trying to hand the ball off to. The ball hit DJ Turner right into his chest, and I almost feel like the Raiders probably never practiced that play, and DJ Turner just wasn't ready to take that hand off. Because it doesn't make sense why you can't do basic stuff. And then, it's a whole different scenario of why the Raiders wouldn't pitch it forward, right? Because if that's a pitch forward to DJ Turner as he goes in motion, a pitch forward, if it falls, is an incomplete pass. It's not a fumble, right? So it's little things that offensive coaches have to think about, the little details. And then the fact that we're not chipping on Thayer Munford 100% of the time doesn't make sense either. Right, Harrison Bryant should have played every snap that Thayer Munford played, and he should have been lined up at that left on the left side, right at the inline position, 100% of snaps, and he should have chipped 100% of the time, if not double teamed, right? Just straight up double team, don't even run a route, 100% of the time, because Thayer Munford, he kind of ruined the game plan for the Raiders yesterday. Let's just get right into that. Thayer Munford gave up multiple sacks yesterday. He gave up multiple quarterback pressures and hits. We had a lot of plays where, it was just bad, just overall bad football by Thayer Munford. And a lot of us didn't actually expect Thayer Munford to kind of have that happen. Because Thayer Munford came into this season, he was supposed to be our franchise right tackle. Although I didn't 100% agree with it, I needed this guy to prove it. A lot of people were sold on Thayer Munford. And more than that, a lot of us, and I actually do agree with this, think Thayer Munford's better at left tackle than he is at right tackle. So after he lost his job to DJ Glaze and then he went over to that left tackle position, you would have actually thought he would have had success at that left tackle position, but yesterday he had no success. And I think a part of that is because last year with Josh McDaniels, we utilized a lot of chip help. We utilized a lot of influence things out of the running, with the running backs, with the tight ends. And our current offensive coordinator, or at least the guy that got fired yesterday, Luke Getsy didn't do that. Luke Getsy does a lot of five-man pass protection where you're essentially out on your own, and Thayer Munford can't handle that. Right? He's not built for that, essentially. Thayer Munford, I think, could be a good swing tackle. He could be a good guy to kind of come in, be that sixth offensive lineman. Maybe he moves to guard a little bit, but he's not a true offensive tackle, in my opinion. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Jordan Meredith, phenomenal games by both guys. Meredith had a really, really good game, but it was Jackson Powers-Johnson that dominated. Jackson Powers-Johnson yesterday came in and just straight up dominated. I think PFF gave him a super, super high grade. I think he had like a 90-plus grade, which is considered an elite grade. Keep in mind, he played center for the first time for an entirety of a game. And the guy had a lot of really, 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 really good snaps. And I think for the Raiders, that's all you can ask for a rookie coming in, first time playing center. He didn't really practice that position. That too, I think James Craig is a bad offensive line coach, at least. We kind of saw that early on in the process. And even the coach we had last year wasn't that good, right? The guy that ended up with the Giants. Offensive line coach really matter for development. It matters to get these guys on the same page and those type of things. And I feel like with Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers-Johnson, even Meredith, these guys are going to benefit a little bit from a different offensive line coach. I think the guy that's going to end up getting the job is actually going to end up being the guy that has had a lot of success in the NFL. That's going to be Joe Philbin. Joe Philbin actually helped the Dallas Cowboys develop some of the best guys, essentially, that they have, right? Terrence Steele, right tackle, ended up getting paid. Philbin helped develop him. We had a guy in Tyler Smith. Philbin Philbin handpicked Tyler Smith. At least that's kind of what the report is, or the rumor, or whatever. And he said this guy's going to be one of the best guards in the NFL. And Tyler Smith's one of the best guards in the NFL, right? He's a great left guard, phenomenal, aggressive, mean, physical. And Philbin not only helped pick him, but he helped develop him. And I wouldn't be shocked if Philbin had some sort of words for potentially Jackson Powers-Johnson, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Philbin came in and said, hey, take this guy. Trust me, he's going to be one of the best players in the NFL at that position. And I'm telling you guys, I think Jackson Powers-Johnson is actually one of the best centers in the NFL already. That's just based off of one game. Like tape does not lie, right? You can see it. And some guys just show it right away. And I think he's the guy that did kind of show it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about some of the updates coming out? Who do you guys think the offensive coordinator should be? I do want to get into some film breakdowns as well. We'll probably get into that a little bit later on. I do think I'm going to try dropping one more video today. I want to do Jackson Paris-Johnson, but we'll see if we can kind of do that. Let me know what you guys think, man. I think, Joe Philbin just makes sense at center. I also think you think about Scott Turner and kind of what he's shown us in the past. He makes sense for the Raiders as the play caller, but none of it's really confirmed at this point. But I am glad the Raiders are making decisions. They are making some changes. And I will probably go live when the Raiders actually make the decision at quarterback, when they make that decision at offensive coordinator. Let me know what you guys think, man. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time with another video.